There was a time when people of two different races could not marry one another. He spoke up and said how inadequate that was. He spoke up about housing issues when we could not live past a certain street. My grandfather was a champion of the underserved. He's champion of the undervoiced and the marginalized. And to listen and going to respond. Sit-ins, protests, marches. He was one of those persons that was always in the forefront. And again, it's my mother has a lot of those photos. But I remember those pictures and those events that was happening, how he led those marches. Folks wanting him to make a difference and to do something, and they complained about what was going on. A lot of people then encouraged him. He was a churchman. He was a deacon at his church and very active. And I think a lot of his church people and his pastor encouraged him to run for state legislator. Politicians, I met presidents, I met vice presidents that came to Omaha to campaign. And that was what the other people saw. But I also saw that a person that taught me how to fish and took me fishing. And I saw a man that taught me how to listen to baseball games and develop a love for baseball and sit in the cars in the driveway and listen to the baseball games on the radio. I saw a person with compassion that was willing to help and care about. So, yeah, those are some of my memories of my grandfather. And he wanted to champion their causes. And a lot of that began at work when he worked for Swift Packing Company. Omaha was noted for its packing houses back in the 60s and 50s and 40s. And he rose to be a shop steward, and so he rose to be a voice for other people that faced difficulty or discrimination on the job. Help change and challenge some systemic issues of racism, or a system that doesn't speak to those who live on the margins of life. And it's just not about the issues of race, but it's about the issues of sex. It's about the issues of gender. It's about issues of sexual orientation. One of the things that people may not understand is the civil rights movement spawned a movement to accept people that are different from a white male's perspective. And Grandpa, he did that. He wasn't just about speaking up for people of color, but he was about speaking up for all people. In the recent months, some of the issues of Black Lives Matters and how that is happening. Some of that is an outgrowth of maybe what is perceived to be illegal police stops, checks, and so forth. Well, in the 50s and 60s and even to the 70s and beyond, that was happening. And it was very prevalent to stop a person of color, whether or not you were in your neighborhood, or especially if you were out of your supposed neighborhood then, to stop and to check. And, there was always an issue that if you didn't do what the police said to do in an appropriate manner, in a fast manner, that there was always a risk of you could get beat or kicked or abused. Part of it is, I think you see a massive amount of people that ranges from age spectrums to economic spectrums, even across cultural or ethnic spectrums. That was all included back in the 60s and 70s. I think it's included today.